over there, like the Pine Street area. And again, no further details have been given out, but the victim was in stable condition. Again, we have some areas that spend more money on their jails than they do on their schools.
Yeah.
Right? You look at Delaware, we rank one of the highest in recidivism rate, but yet one of the lowest in our educational.
Wow.
Right?
It's going to be very important that you begin to start looking at your relatives, your friends, your neighbors, and those who need some mental assistance, some help. We really need to start asking, them to get the help they need. She was very clear, Mr. Trump, your day job will not interfere with what we have to do.
People are still trying to travel there, and the actual Hawaiians are saying, please don't come here.
Yeah. We need to be able to have another level of accountability in the state of Delaware. Good evening. This is Dr. Curry.
This is Kobe Owens.
And welcome to The Source. Today we are missing our other it seems like every week one of us are missing because it is the summertime, so I guess everybody's trying to get some time in. But it's glad to have you back. You've been gone for 2 weeks, and we kind of miss you tremendously. But I'm glad that you're back with us today. We want to get started real quickly with our happenings of the last week. Matter of fact, after we had taped, we had a shooting in the city of Wilmington, and then we also had one on Tuesday. A 25-year-old and a 47-year-old. You know anything about the 25-year-old?
Yeah, so the 25-year-old, it literally right after the filming of the show, it was another shooting in the 100 block of East 22nd Street, over there, like the Pine Street area. And again, no further details have been given out, but the victim was in stable condition. Again, this is another trend that we're seeing of multiple people being shot throughout the city of Wilmington. And again, why we're glad no one is passing away is still gun violence and trauma being caused in our community.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said it the way you said it, because we don't want to discount the fact that because they weren't killed that we should just overlook it. It could, when you get shot, you one breath away from being killed. So I think that's very much important. Then we also had a 47-year-old woman who was, I think it was around the 2900 block of Lancaster Avenue, here in Wilmington, and she got shot as well.
Yeah, again, this is, like I said, it's a trend going forth. She is in stable condition as well, too. But again, no victim or no suspects have been apprehended at this time in either one of these shootings. And again, not just these two, but some of the ones more recent, I'll say within the last month and a half time period, there has been no shooters caught. So I do hope that, they get a hold of this, as we're seeing a real uptick during these last few months.
Yeah, they did a whole lot of these spot shotters, what do you call them, spotters or whatever. So none of that really helps them to be able to get to the scene quicker or to identify where it's coming from.
Again, it's the reaction time.
Yeah.
I know in one case, they had got the shot spotter, it went off, they knew it was shots fired there, and it still was almost a 20-minute period until cops actually arrived on the scene. So, they have to do something about that response time. And again, I don't know what else was going on that day, that time, at that very moment throughout the city that could have caused that delay. But there has to be better response time, and also I think overall, when it comes to trying to solve some of these cases, it takes the community as well too.
Yeah.
But if the community doesn't trust the police, then you're never going to get to the root cause.
Now we know there's a lot of states, or should I say cities, small cities too, a lot of cities where crime is up generally. They're trying to blame, and it could be true. You will have to give me your opinion on this, but they're trying to blame the folks who said defund the police as the reason for the uptick, which I can't buy that totally, because there was an uptick before they started talking about defund the police. But there was but what is your thoughts on that?
I think one, that talking point is a classic diversion. While people may have said that, right, said that phrase of defund the police, at the end of the day, what police departments were defunded?
Yeah.
Actually, most of them received an increase in funds. Again, at the end of the day, I think the defund movement, you have some people who believe completely in defunding the police, taking away every single penny. Other people believe in reallocating the funds to really focus in on the root causes of violence, right? Making sure that there's counseling for the community to try to be more on a proactive side so that individuals don't end up in a cycle of violence throughout their community and stuff like that. And that takes a lot of money as well, too. Again, we have some areas that spend more money on their jails than they do on their schools.
Yeah.
Right? You look at Delaware, we rank one of the highest in recidivism rate, but yet one of the lowest in our educational.
Wow.
Right? I think we should invest more into the classroom instead of investing more into a jail cell. But again, you have to have people who are willing to stand up and say, it's the time for changes now, and this is how we're going to have to do it. We need a well-organized plan, and take action and have deliverables as we work our way towards that overall goal.
Yeah, I know that we are in a crisis with mental illness as well. And
Yes.
for the last 2 weeks here at the church, I've been, at the end of my message sermons, I've been spending a little bit of time talking to the congregation about getting those who they love as well as themselves help for the mental. And I saw that the governor did something with mental health. I can't remember exact details of that, but is that going to help with the police department as well as the community, or is that for a specific item he was doing? Do you remember?
So that was a certain item that was mental health specialists in the schools.
Oh, for the schools.
So this is for the schools. It's hopefully to be additional services, as well as I think it was 3 bills. Creating or expanding the crisis hotline, and I'm forgetting the other one off the top of my head. But again, they all aim to again allow. Oh, the last one was excused absences for mental health days, and that hopefully will help students. If they do need to take a mental health day, it doesn't count against them. And again, we need more counselors. We need more mental health specialists in our schools. A lot of our kids deal with a lot at home and have no other way of getting those resources, right? Their parents or them, they may not have the resources to pay for a private person.
Right.
So having that option in school is going to go a long way, hopefully helping this situation.
Yeah, and for those of you who are watching us today, it's going to be very important that you begin to start looking at your relatives, your friends, your neighbors, and those who need some mental assistance, some help. We really need to start asking them to get the help they need, because I think a lot of people who are sitting in jail today is really the result of some mental crises that happened in their lives or happening when things happen and they just were placed in jail. That's the best way to put a person they feel that is out of control. I think it's really important that we really pay attention to our mental health, and that's how we become a healthy community, by working on the mental aspect as well as the physical aspect. I want to kind of turn our attention a little bit towards the talk of the town, the talk of the nation, the talk of the world, and that's Donald Trump. 4 indictments. Nobody is being persuaded to tell him to sit down. Kobe, I couldn't wait for you to get back. My girl Shanae, she doesn't do much of the national stuff. She's more local. But 4 indictments?
Yeah. this is bad.
Yeah.
For anyone, he's a billionaire, so he has the money to fight this and everything. But if you really dive in, no, he's not using his money. He could though, but he's using his campaign money, which is another violation, which should probably lead to another indictment. But at this point, he's collecting them like candy on Halloween. But if you look at it, right, if you look at all four, the first one and what I'll say is ranked number 4 on my level, right, is the New York State case against the former president. And again, that's using hush money to pay off a hooker, a sex worker named Stormy Daniels. And again, that's 34 charges in that one alone. Falsifying business records, which, he has been accused of multiple times. He has a very long history. And again, that one could only lead to like 4 years in prison, right? Now, this next one is the federal indictment in Florida. And again, that's endangering the national security by mishandling classified documents, right? You saw the pictures, the documents in his bathroom and all over the place. That's 40 felony charges, right? 32 willful retention of national defense information, 1 count of conspiracy to obstruct justice, 1 count of withholding document or a record of official proceedings, concealing of a document of a federal investigation, and more with that as well too. Now, that one, the jail time, depending on what charges, 10 years for the willful retention of defense information, 20 years for conspiracy to obstruct justice, 20 years for withholding documents of official proceedings, concealing documents of official proceeding is another 20 years, concealing documents from a federal investigator, 20 years. So he could face a lot of time with that one, and that one only ranks 3rd. That's the crazy thing, right? Next is the Georgia election indictment.
Really?
That's the second biggest one, and that is the Fulton County DA, Fannie Willis, accused Donald Trump and a few of his associates, 18 of them, yes, of racketeering. And again, there was a meme posted with Sesame Street, and it said the word of the day is RICO. It's 23 or 13 counts of federal charges. Again, 1 count of violating the Georgia RICO, which is Racketeering Influence Corruption Organizations Act. 3 counts of solicitation to violate the oath of office. That's, again, he tried to convince the lieutenant governor, the governor, and the secretary of state to overturn the election. Then they had individuals also impersonate official electors of the state, and committed forgery by signing those documents for those electors and stuff like that, falsifying documents and stuff like that. Now, that one could have numerous different years served, depending how that goes. That one has really lit a fire under his voters base as well too, because they're saying he was right on that, right? The election was not. The election was stolen. It wasn't a fair election. And then the overall one, which is the main one that was filed in D.C., is the 2020, the federal 2020 election case. And that one, it's 4 felony counts, a charge of conspiracy to defraud the United States of America, conspiracy to obstruct the official proceedings, plotting to prevent the 2020 election certification. That's when they stormed the Capitol, right? January 6th. Obstruction of or attempt to obstruct the official proceeding by trying to actually block the certification. Once they decided they was going to go back in, he was telling them not to. And then a conspiracy against the rights. Again, that is against our constitutional right to elect a president. So again, that's the biggest one. That one can carry up to, I think, 45 to 55 years, again, for all those charges together.
Yeah.
So he I don't know you get out of all of these.
Well, he knows how to run the clock out, and then he'll transition probably and say, you know what, I didn't have to do it, and say, I'll beat you all. But I'm really impressed with even the judges that he have so far.
Yeah.
Now, even the one he appointed, she hasn't proven to be too bad yet. But I guess he never really ran up against sisters before.
No, God, no. And here's the thing is, one, even if this does go to the Supreme Court, and you'll see a Supreme Court where he appointed 3 out of the 9 judges, they have let some of these cases go forward. They've let some of his other legal cases go forward, and he's been mad. He's called them fake conservatives and everything. At this point, I think they care more about upholding the Constitution, which is why he put them there, right? To be constitutionalists, right? Not be idealists.
For him, though, he's the Constitution.
But now he wants them to just be loyal to him.
Right.
Which I think, again, is funny because it gets under his skin. And the way he's treated people over the years, right? He used the justice system to try to pretty much make as much money possible for himself while taking money from other people.
Yeah, I kind of think that the judge in Washington was really good. She was very clear, Mr. Trump, your day job will not interfere with what we have to do.
Right.
But what I don't like is that he's challenged her, and she did not slap him with a fine or put him in jail when he started talking negative about them and the case.
Yeah.
She said that I was feeling really good about she's going to really have a strong arm, but then it ended up being where he did say a couple of things he should not have said, but she didn't do anything to him.
Yeah, and I think they're going to give some leniency there. But, as the case goes forward, they're going to crack down on some other things. So, and, honestly, he's talking himself into a hole with that. So they're probably just letting him talk right now to see what else can come of it.
And the last thing I wanted to add in this, too, about the sisters. Sister from Georgia, Howard University graduate, HBCU, I like to say that very clearly. She's tough.
Yes.
She's tough. I mean, she's not moved by him. She's not impressed. She people do what they got to do, but she really came at this thing pretty strong. Mm-hmm. And I was so impressed with her, and she was raised by her father. And as I looked into her history to see, her mom and dad separated, and most of the time children go with their mother, but she was raised by a father who was, to my understanding, he was a part of the Black Panthers Party or something of that nature. And then he ended up raising her, and she went to Howard University, did very well there, and moved on and got a law degree elsewhere. But I just was really impressed with her. I'm impressed with all
of them.
But sometimes I just sit back and I say to myself, this is good TV.
Yeah.
Even though he's in a heap of trouble, this is kind of like good TV, and you're enjoying it. How is it going to end is what everybody is trying to figure out.
Yeah. And the most recent one, the RICO charges, again, is a newer judge, a Republican appointed by the current governor, Brian Kemp, down in Georgia, but he's known for usually ruling against a person who is being charged with the RICO charges. So this is going to be very interesting if he keeps his track record up. Both Democratic judges and Republican judges now on these 4 indictments.
Okay, well, he cannot pardon himself. The one I really want to stick is either the New York or the Georgia, because that's the area where, in actuality, he can't pardon himself, and neither can any, if a Republican gets in, neither can they. But I get that sneaky suspicion that Biden or somebody will still pardon him, which I hope not.
I don't know about this one.
This guy is really a little different. The last thing I want to do in this segment, because we run out of time, is I do want to spend a moment just talking about some meetings that's going to occur with the NAACP. We all have different opinions of what's going on with the Wilmington chapter of the NAACP, and I know Shanae was very, very adamant about getting the voice of the people, because we really do need help. We need help in the city of Wilmington with some of the things that are going on, and if people are permitted to happen. You're on the state level. Y'all run up and down the state crazy, trying to solve problems, trying to be a part of various things. So I don't know all the agenda behind what is going on with Shanae and the group, but the whole thing of these new meetings that are taking place, and I was very interested in seeing some of them, the special interest, and they having one on Wednesday, the 23rd. So I hope that you know those of you who are watching will take some time to go. It's going to be at the library on Route 9. It'll be at the library on Route 9, and I think if you can at 6 o'clock, be a part of that conversation just to see what's going on, just to try to get a feel, because I believe little help is some help, and we do need the help. And I hope and trust that you all will show up. And they also have a meeting on August the 28th at 6 o'clock, and they're going to have that one at the Claymont Public Library. And there will be some refreshments and things like that there too. But the whole purpose is to make sure that you are being heard and the things that we want addressed out of our NAACP. They have one happening on Wednesday the 30th, and that's going to be at the Brandywine 100 on Folk Road. I think that's a library too, to my understanding. So that's where the next one is. And just you can always, try to find his schedule, but there's going to be one on Thursday, the 31st of August, and that's going to be at the Powell Center here on Market Street, 37th and Market. And the last place that I see here is on Tuesday at the Woodlawn Library. So it's going to be a lot of meetings happening, and I think in order for us to get stronger, instead of us criticizing each other, we really need to look at the issues that are at hand, and let's start moving forward in that, because I think the more we fight each other, the more other people win.
And let's talk about the strength of the NAACP. Earlier this week, we saw a ruling come down. Well, not a ruling, but a plea taken by the mayor of Camden, Delaware, who assaulted two young African-American teens. And I want to give a huge shout out to our members in the Central Branch, led by their president, Flora McKendall, and other people in that branch as well, too. Mayor Justin King had to step down, had to resign as mayor, and can no longer run for office here in the state of Delaware. The incident happened back in March. Two young men was at one of his car washes, and he thought that they were about to commit a crime, approached them, attacked them, hit one in a headlock, caused neck damage and everything. And then when the cops arrived, he used his position as mayor to send them away without him being charged. Again, this was a huge step in the right direction. He should have received more than just a 1-year probation period. He should have received jail time. But this is a step. This is holding people accountable for their actions. You have a lot of people in power, especially elected officials, who like attacking the NAACP because they know that we're going to come out and hold them accountable. So, while everyone may not like every move being made, the NAACP is strong here, and it's bringing about true change up and down this state.
Yes.
And also down in Sussex, we fought against the Confederate flag being raised. Again, they had the votes on the city council. So after that, we engaged the community, and now we have the votes on the council. One of the biggest racists who was there, she was kicked off of council prior, and then came back. She won. And it still upheld white supremacy. She is no longer there. So now it is a 3-2 majority our way. And, I just want to also give a shout out to the mayor down there, Mayor Bill West, who stood strong against that. He didn't have the votes, but he fought every way possible he could. He fought. And again, worked with individuals like Miss Jane Hovington and all of them down there as well.
Good. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
New guests, new conversations, new stories every Sunday at 11 a.m. Grab your cup of coffee and tune in with Dr. Curry for our weekly episodes of Coffee with Curry.
Join us at 9 a.m. on YouTube every Sunday by typing eZion Fair Baptist Church.
Oh my God, help me today. Which means every storm is a school. Every trial is a teacher. Every experience is an education. And every difficulty is development.
We are Woman Tunes, most exciting church.
News all across the nation. Wilmington's latest headlines. Advocating for change in the community. With Dr. C.T. Curry, Kobe Owens, and Shanae Darby. Tune in to The Source every Sunday at 5 p.m.
And we're back. Kobe, what's going on with the Kobe Corner?
Yeah, first off, I don't know if y'all seen it, but it's something that has had me laughing, but also so proud of my people recently. And it's what happened down in Montgomery. So there was a party going on with a bunch of your frat brothers. And they were on a boat, and they were coming back in to dock, and while they were waiting, or while they were trying to dock, there was a boat in their place. So one of the co-captains decided that he was going to go aboard and let them know, hey, you can't park here. This is designated for this boat, right? It's a river boat. And the owner of the boat's talking to him, and then all of a sudden you see this young guy come in and start hitting him. He throws his hat up.
Yeah, I saw that.
And you had our people come from all different directions to come help him. You had two individuals come running down the ramp. It took them a second, but they got there. You had a young 16-year-old jump in the water.
I saw that.
And swim over
That's
to
right.
help his. I'm gonna say help his unc.
Yeah.
And then once that boat docked, once that boat was up against that dock, those young brothers came out there to back them up, and then the sisters took care of the women. And then we
I don't know
had
if I should be laughing.
then we had Big Unc come out with his chair, and I don't know if y'all saw that, but it had me rolling. And he did an interview. He said, I just kind of blacked out, and I just knew anyone who ain't look like me was getting hit with that chair.
Wow.
He hit a bunch of people with the chair, but again, these people who attacked the co-captain did not even own the boat. They were a guest. The owner of the boat was trying to move the boat, but they were like, no, we're not moving it. Yeah. 5 of them have now been arrested and charged with legal proceedings pending. The guy who was swinging the chair was also charged, but he was bailed out right away. The community came together and bailed him out, full amount right away. So again, that's our community came together to protect one another. But again, it just shows that there's still a lot of people who feel emboldened to be very racist.
This poor black man decided, you're gonna tell me to move my boat. You done lost your mind,
right?
And I when I saw it, I was very indignant. I was very upset. But what gave me a sense of thank you was when I saw the young brother dive overboard. No, I gotta help him because they was in a position on that boat where they couldn't do nothing but just scream.
Correct.
But he jumped overboard, and you start seeing people coming off the ramp and things of that nature. And it's not about a fight between white people and black people, but what it's really about is seeing that when the rubber meets the road, we do stick together. Yes. And I think that's what needs to continue to happen, especially in a time like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I know I probably shouldn't have laughed as much as I laughed. There's been all different types of remixes, but again, it gave kind of like a reset to things as well too. Especially since our community always goes through so much. It was just good to see us come together and make sure we protect one another, and that's really how we need to start acting, right? Yeah. We need to have our brothers and sisters backs, and our cousins back, no matter what. Next, I want to talk about something that happened right here in the state of Delaware, and while the Delaware Legislative Black Caucus and the Law Enforcement Task Force feels all happy that they finally got a bill passed that all it does is changes the name of Leopold. It really doesn't do anything. We got dash cam footage of two state police officers, state troopers, conspiring to manufacture traffic charges because they were upset that they were flicked off by the middle finger by this driver. And they made up charges. It's the video. It's a Smyrna resident. It's a video of them talking about it, and one officer saying, "You know that's not going to stick. That's not going to stick." But they still charge him because they were upset. The same state police officers who stood with Frank Cook
OJ.
and them to push this bill through, who, you know, during his committee hearing, he said when the rubber hit the road, the NAACP was nowhere to be found, but the state police showed up. Well, we've been asking for this, but when you had the meeting about the bill, you only had them in the room. And now under this new law, this officer, in just a few years, this discipline will be wiped off his slate completely. But that's exactly what they wanted, because we've been saying officers lie about charges. Like when Jarena Green or the young ladies down at Main Event talked back to officers, they consider that resisting arrest. But see, it's okay when it's the poor black folk, right? In their minds, no. So the charges were dropped, and now we're waiting to see what's going to happen. What's going to happen to these officers? Because I believe both officers should, one, lose their badge, should never be allowed to be a cop again anywhere.
Especially falsifying information.
Falsifying information, right? What else have they done? There should be a full investigation into all their arrests. And see, when you do stuff like that, that's how true violent people go free. And it only takes one mistake. That's why we have to hold our cops to such a high standard. Because now we don't know if there has been a pattern and a bias. Did you cheat to get that arrest? You're supposed to be upholding the law, not creating your own. But again, this is what we fight for. This is going back to the very first the show here. This is what we've talked about and what we've fought about for so many years. And it's still so disappointing to see that this is still continuing to happen. And then my next point, I'm going to talk about something that also is very devastating happening right here in the United States of America. And that's what's happening in California, or not California, in Hawaii. There has been deadly fires happening in Hawaii on the island of Maui, right? And Maui is somewhere where hundreds and hundreds of celebrities
I go there quite often.
live. They have property there. People love traveling there. People are still trying to travel there, and the actual Hawaiians are saying, please don't come here. Allow the residents who live on this island to take up the hotels and the resorts that are protected. They need those resources right now because they have nowhere else to go. And it's easier for us to flee here on the mainland. We can drive to another state pretty easy. They can't do that in Hawaii. And then the other thing I want to talk about is, one, the toxins that are being put into the air and into the water is creating even more hazards for the other islands as well too. You have hazardous debris that's going all over in the wind and everything like that. You have chemicals that are leaking into the water.
Diesel at one point.
Diesel as well, creating undrinkable water. Their water filtration systems are being destroyed. Big storms are also on the horizon, which is only going to cause more damage down there and cause a greater wreckage of what's going on. President Biden will be traveling to Hawaii tomorrow to visit some of the devastated areas. He has opened up resources. The new governor of Hawaii is actually a friend of mine, Josh Green, who's a nurse. I've spoken to him, and you can hear it in his voice. He's drained. You could tell he's been crying. This is a very devastating event that's going on in America. 101 individuals have passed away so far, and that number is growing. Diesel fuel has caught fire, and it has leaked out into the ocean as boats are trying to get people away from the island, and surrounded boats and trapped boats that have led to deaths as well too. So again, this inferno is creating almost like a pit of fire down there, and we see the pictures, we see the videos, cars completely burnt out, streets, trees, and everything. They did a comparison from earlier this year to today, and you just see the vast difference of what the island is. I know some celebrities have been down there to help, to issue aid, with probably one of the biggest names being Oprah. And I know President Obama, who is a native Hawaiian, is raising money, and I know it hit over $2 million just the other day. I don't know where it's at as of today, but again, they're trying to raise money for the victims of what's going on down there. And again, it's just so sad to watch from afar. But I want to end my segment kind of on a lighter note. I know those other ones were all kind of hectic and chaotic. But again, back to school events are going on all across the state. And I wanted to highlight a few that's going on. And also on September 30th, I know it's not at the beginning of the school year, but 1 month in, we're doing a free physical exam event for ages 13 to 18. It's hosted by the Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League. It's going to be at the Pal of Wilmington. We're working with some of the best doctors in the state, such as Dr. Joan Coker, Dr. Scanterbury, Dr. Sidney Teal, and other providers to provide this service to the community. There's going to be other resources there for the family as well too, and we're trying to get the food bank to donate some food as well too. But that's going to be Saturday, September 10th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then on August 27th.
So what is that called again?
It's just called free physical exams for young kids who are going back. Well, not young kids, but teenagers who are going back to schools who need these
could you
exams.
Please make sure that's on the screen so that people can know that date. Again, September the 10th?
September 30th.
So, I'm sorry, September what?
September 30th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And again, the thinking behind this event is we saw last year a lot of our kids got iced out of playing sports or doing extracurricular activities because they did not have a physical on file. So we want to make sure that now the kids are in, they see what they want to do. Now they know they have to get a physical. This is free of charge to them, where now I think a physical today is a minimum of like $150. It's getting really expensive for families. So we want to make sure that we give them this opportunity. And then on August the 27th, there is a back to school drive at the Pal of Wilmington. We're partnering with Eastside Charter. So if you are interested in signing your kid up for Eastside Charter, you can sign up at this event as well too. And again, that's going to be 10 to 2 as well too. And we'll put that flyer up as well. But again, just stay aware. There was an event yesterday at William Penn where they gave out 100 pairs of shoes, custom shoes and everything. Again, there's so many people who are giving back right now. So we want to make sure that you share those resources. And again, as people send me more and more, I know one show I did, I talked about 4 different ones, and a lot of people went out to those. So send me more, and I'll make sure we put them out there.
Excellent. And please, for those of you who are watching, if there's a need or in your life or in your family, don't let your pride get in the way of it. This is not hand-me-down things.
Right.
This is brand new items. This is brand new stuff. Just last week, the food bank and East Zion Fair did a box. They gave away food. It was over 100 families who came, and it wasn't people who had hoopties. It was people who had cars. The economy is good, but it has not tapped in certain areas to the level that it needs to. So I am asking that you please make sure if your children need some supplies, if they need some whatever, take hold to some of these events, because that's going to be very important. Yeah. So Kobe, is that all you have for today?
That's all I have.
Okay, we ain't hear nothing about the politics, but we're going to come back and talk about that.
We coming back to it.
All right. We'll be right back.
every Sunday for our worship services. Join us at 9 a.m. on YouTube and Facebook Live by typing Zion Fair Baptist Church. We are Wilmington's most exciting church. Join us at 9 a.m. on Facebook Live every Sunday by typing Zion Fair Baptist Church.
Jesus felt what you're feeling, but he did not sin. Am I in the word? Have one who has been tempted in every way, just as we are, yet he did not sin.
We are Wilmington's most exciting church.
News all across the nation. Wilmington's latest headlines. Advocating for change in the community with Dr. C.T. Curry, Kobe Owens, and Shanae Darby. Tune in to The Source every Sunday at 5 p.m.
And we're back. Well, we had an opportunity to go through the Kobe's Corner. We did some of the general stuff. Let's turn the page a little bit. We don't have Shanae here today, and I want to make sure that we have the 3 segments and have them strong. There's an attack on Black studies.
Yes.
Right now, Governor Huckabee, and she's biting off of what that other governor, who I don't like saying his name too much, but from Florida. Why is it that they don't want the truth to be told?
Well, if you look at Arkansas, it has a long history of racism there and attacks on the Black community. What Governor Huckabee Sanders did, and you may remember her as Trump's press secretary, she has now banned AP Black History, so you won't receive college credit for that. Again, she wants to do more. Following the blueprint of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and Texas Governor Greg Abbott, right? So you have those Southern governors are now trying to compete against one another. Again, I think you will very soon see a bill banning the D9 in Arkansas, as you have in Texas now. It hasn't passed, but it has been introduced.
I don't know if that would pass. Well, let me just let you
It passed in Florida.
The D9?
Yeah. D9 are now banned at colleges.
Wow.
At public colleges. You're seeing this pressure build of diluting true history. And, I always grew up saying, I don't know why we call it Black history, it's just American history. Because we wouldn't be where we're at today if it wasn't for Black people. Whether we were in chains or not, we built this country.
Absolutely.
They stole the land from Native Americans. But yet, when we try to teach about that, we're hurting feelings.
And is it considered to be a conspiracy?
It's considered to be a conspiracy.
Yeah.
They believe that Black history and social inequality isn't true. And it's a sad fact. But this is the narrative that they need to spin for them to continue to collect votes amongst a crowd of people who have been emboldened by Donald Trump.
Okay.
And again, now they're just competing to be who can be the biggest racist. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
Who can be the biggest racist? Yeah. And now Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who's probably has some aspirations to run for president down the road, is trying to compete with DeSantis and Abbott.
But you can't win off of that issue with that issue in a national election. You can win the base of the Republican Party easily. But I don't really believe that a lot of conservatives are buying into this.
Not the general mass of them, but the loudest voices are.
No, I'm talking about, did I say conservatives? I meant to say independents.
The independents aren't buying into
So
it.
you need both Democrats and Republicans need the independents to do anything. So my concern, not my concern, my comment is that if you want to become president, why are you taking on this issue?
That's how they win their primary. That's all they're worried about.
Is it? Do you get a big check when you become the head, of the person who's representing your party?
Me? No.
No.
We
I mean,
broke.
No. I'm talking
Well,
about.
not we, but
I mean, like the president of the United States, not the president, but the
so when you become like the RNC and DNC
Okay.
chair, you do get some type of stipend. But both of those two, I think, get paid around $100,000 a year.
But if I'm running for president and I'm the Democratic candidate,
yes,
is there money I get paid?
no, not until you win the presidency.
So why just win that?
And it's only for, well, I say this only, it's $400,000
For
a
the
year
presidency.
For the presidency,
But you don't get to the presidency if you're going to have these type of issues.
absolutely not. But nowadays, with the corruption in our campaign finance system, you have individuals. First off, to win a presidential election, you have to be able to raise $1 billion at this point. And then outside of that, you have mega donors who come in and sway you, take you on luxury trips, fly you out, put you on yachts and all this other stuff, and gives the illusion of a lifestyle that you do not have. And it's now not just corrupting the people who are supposed to be elected officials, it's also corrupting those appointed officials as well too. And that's why you're seeing people like Clarence Thomas.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, I'm impartial. But yeah, a mega donor who's now come before my court multiple times, he paid for my mama's house, he paid for my son's education, in my son's new luxury apartment, penthouse suite. But yeah, I'm impartial to him. You're seeing that with these donors as well too. You see the Koch brothers and the Walton family pour all this money into these Republicans for the sole purpose they want their ideology pushed, and that's what they're doing to get more money from these individuals.
It's just crazy. Well, all I can say is that, the African Americans have fought too hard, have worked too hard, have sweat too many days for us to be pushed into a corner, and I don't think that African Americans will continue, and that's why we who are African Americans need to come together. It's not about being separate, because when you see these marches, you see Caucasian people there, you see all walks of life there, but the problem is there's something rooted in being African American that is really dangerous, it looks like, because it's like whatever we can do to stop them, because they've tried everything under the book. I mean, and nothing, and we still continue to multiply and continue to survive. But I just wanted to bring that up today because it was important to me that we talk about the Black Studies issue and how our history is our history, and to want to put it under the table is just unfair. And and I would say it's unconstitutional too, but it's just unfair. And I just wanted to bring that up today, especially Ms. Huckabee. I like saying her name.
Yeah.
Who her name even sounds like she's one of those other people,
know.
those privileged people. Let me move it a little bit further to a couple of celebrations, and I'm very impressed with the Democratic Party. My frat brothers come into town. Clybourne, he's coming as their keynote speaker for their dinner.
Yes.
So I'm definitely going to be there this year.
Yes.
Many other days, but I will definitely be there this year.
Yeah, so I'm super excited to have the former Majority Whip and current assistant leader of the Democratic Caucus, Jim Clyburn, come up to Delaware. Again, he's no stranger to Delaware. He's been here a few times, but we're super excited to have him as our keynote speaker. And also we have an opportunity, like a VIP reception with him as well too, that I hope the queues really turn out for.
Well, one queue going to definitely be turning out. I will be there.
but also just, again, he's coming as we ramp up our fundraising efforts going into 2024. We know it's going to be a big year here in Delaware, with so many open seats on our state level, but then also making sure that we reelect the number one Delaware Democrat in the nation right now, which is President Biden, and making sure that we do our part to send a strong Democrat to the U.S. Senate and to the U.S. House as both sides fight for control of each chamber, and making sure that hopefully we win both chambers back so that we
What are
can
your
give.
projections?
So I think we win the House back. I think the Senate is going to be very tight. I think we lose West Virginia. And Montana, I don't know what's going to happen in Montana.
I think we keep Montana. And,
I hope we
and we're
keep.
going to gain one too, because I think we keep both. We get the House back, and
Yeah,
I think
lose
it's going to
the
stay
Senate.
tight. And I like it tight, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Other than when you got a person like that Virginia guy.
But me personally, I'm a huge fan of John Tester in Montana. He is the last actual farmer in the U.S. Senate. And he lost three of his fingers due to an accident, and he has been a huge disability rights advocate, and also a very big voice for black farmers as well too, just the need of agriculture in this nation. Even though he does not have a large African American population in his home state, he recognizes it in other states that it's important that we invest there as well too. So overall, I think he's a very good guy. We can lose Manchin. I'm not. I don't like Manchin. At this point, he's pretty much the same as a Republican. And if it ends up being a 50-50 split again, as long as we win the White House, we have the majority. But I think at this point in time, he has turned his back on the individuals of West Virginia. I say this as someone who's been in West Virginia, who's seen the homelessness there, that he has continued to ignore from his time as governor, now as his time as U.S. Senator, and now he's running scared. Is
he going to run again at all?
He may, I don't know. He's in talks about running a third-party run
I saw
for
that.
president.
I did see that.
So I don't know what he's going to do. I know he's scared of Jim Justice, who is the Republican governor who's running for U.S. Senate, who is
take his seat?
To take his seat. Those two don't like each other, so it would be funny if they ran against each other. But again, I think overall in the House, we're on track to win it back. We're gaining an extra seat, a black district in Alabama. We're gaining a black district in Louisiana.
But that's for the House.
For the House.
Yeah.
And there's still litigation going on in Florida to potentially gain a black Northern Florida district back, as well as another one in in South Carolina as well too.
That's good.
New York, there's still litigation going on, which may change some of the lines as well too. But we'll see what happens there. But again, just overall across the board, it's going to be very interesting. I'm following it very close. But then on the Senate level, whether we win the Senate or not, we have a historic opportunity, and I think I've made this very clear on my social media. Whoever I talk to, any political figure who knows me knows I am rooting for 3 black women who are running for U.S. Senate right now. One, you have Barbara Lee, who has been a mentor to me for a long time, who's running in California.
Yeah.
Long time San Francisco Bay Area Congresswoman. Was the lone vote against the authorizing of the war for Iraq, the invasion in Iraq back in 2002. Then Angela Offbrook, who was running down in Maryland to replace Ben Cardin, who's retiring. She is the PG County executive, the second largest county down there,
A lot of money, too.
and a lot of money there. She just actually gained the endorsement of the other U.S. Senator who's not up this year, Chris Van Hollen. So super excited about her. And then, of course,
Yes.
I'm ready to make some history here in Delaware, and that's electing our current Congresswoman to be the next U.S. Senator to replace Tom Carper, Congresswoman Lisa Blunt Rochester, as the third Potentially, she comes in with a few other thirds, but the third black woman to be elected to the U.S. Senate,
And first from Delaware.
and first from Delaware, first African American to represent Delaware in the U.S. Senate, and the first woman to represent Delaware in the U.S. Senate. So I'm super excited about that. She had a kickoff yesterday, her in-person kickoff. She did a virtual kickoff already. So again, we're just super excited to see history potentially being made here come November.
Oh, wow. Well, it's like there's a whole lot of stuff going on. We only got a couple minutes left, but I do want to get an update on some of the people who are running
Yes.
for some offices in the
So there's been, since the last time I was on the show, there's been 2 additional people who have announced that they're running for office. One of them is Nick Beard, Monica Beard. I'm sorry, I know her by her nickname. But Monica Beard, she's running for RD22 against Mike Smith. Republican Mike Smith. Now, not to get confused, the other person that has announced is Mike Smith, Democratic Mike Smith, who is running in a primary against Frank Burns in RD21. The winner of that will take on Mike Ramone, who is the minority leader of the House Republicans down in Dover. So again, both those areas, one it's like Pike Creek area. They sit right next to each other. So that Pike Creek kind of Hockessin area is where those 2 districts are. Other than that, we haven't heard any other additional names of individuals who are running statewide or for local state rep or state senate seats. So as more and more individuals start to file and open up committees, I will keep y'all updated on what is going on and who is running for what.
And right now, for the city of Wilmington mayor office, there's only one person running right now.
So for any of the city offices, there's only one person running, and that one person is Velda Jones Potter, who is running for mayor of Wilmington. There's been a few articles about Mayor Pazicki, but he hasn't officially announced just yet. And then after, I'll say probably around the holiday time, you will start seeing individuals start gearing up, at least, to announce.
Well, we're going to look forward to that as well. Once we get into that, this show will become much more exciting.
Yes.
As we will be talking about the many things that will be happening. Let me just have a couple of announcements that we're going to call it a day today. First, let me just invite all of you who will, the 4th Sunday, not today, but next Sunday, we will be having the Church and Community Day. We're going to have a full concert here at East Zion Fair starting at 11:30 a.m. And then at 1 o'clock, we're going to go outside and we're going to eat and we're going to have a good time, barbecuing, fish, everything. And I'm hoping that you will join us on that event. It's free to the public. It is for the community and the church. We need to come together and celebrate. And I want to thank Councilwoman Harley, who is also a sponsor for that event. So again, that's on next Sunday from 1:30 until we finish having fun. We'll have music, we'll have different entertainment, we'll have so much food that you will just be overwhelmed with the food. But I ask that you would please come and let's enjoy each other during that celebration. Don't forget about the bag giveaways and the different giveaways that's going on in and around the city. You can certainly, Cody, do they have a email where people can contact you? Because people call the church sometime. I want to make sure they have your email to be able to call you and say, what were you talking about, certain things.
So my email is Owens, OWENS, the number 4, and then change@gmail.com, and we'll put that up on the screen for y'all as well too. But again, it's Owens4Change at gmail.com.
Good. And if you have any questions regarding any of the announcements that we've made today or anything that we're talking about, you certainly can feel free to call us here at the church, 302-652-9114. Again, that's 302-652-9114. Kobe, it has been a pleasure having you back.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward. Next week, I do want to spend some time talking about the Inspector General because we kind of left that subject alone for a minute. But it is so desperate that we need them and we need the NAACP. So we're going to try our best to really, as we get into this political season, as things are happening, especially with the state police officers who made false statements and did some things wrong. We need to be able to have another level of accountability in the state of Delaware. But it has been great having you back. I hope you enjoyed your time away.
I did.
I know you were doing more politicking stuff, but we look forward to next week. Anything else you have for us?
That's all I have. I'm glad to be back. And just for the individuals who came up and approached me, no, I did not leave the show. I just had events going on these last 2 weeks. I am back. I'm here. I'm not going nowhere.
Yeah, after the summer, you'll see us all back
Yes.
doing what we need to do. The problem is sometimes when people don't see you, they automatically
Right.
speculate. No, we have a right to disagree on any issues that happens, even though we've not had that much disagreement. But we can disagree, and we can voice our opinions because this show here is about us speaking the truth to you and to power. Listen, this is Dr. Curry,
This is Kobe Owens.
and until the next time we get together, see ya.
Take care, y'all.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of The Source. Be sure to tune in next Sunday at 5 p.m.